rounds complete, 36 races done, one more round to decide each split's championship winner. Today is race 1 of round 10 of the 2022 Hololive GT3 Japan Series. We hope you're enjoying the stream as much as we do here in the commentary booth right now. And you can see these cars getting out across the track for some practice. Anyways, before we get on into the championship context here, let's look into the track map. Here we see round 10 Suzuka Circuit, home of the season finale of the 2022 Hololive GT3 Japan Series. And no, this is not the Eastern layout. This will be the full Grand Prix layout that we'll be using for the grandest race of them all, the final round of the 2022 Hololive GT3 Japan Series. Track length 5.8 kilometers worth of racetrack, 18 corners in total. We're looking at a lap count of only 17 laps. And if we're speaking of a target lap time, we're looking at a 2:01.931. It's similar targets to the one we seen in the National Series last Thursday, but of course we could be seeing faster lap times here due to track conditions, and of course we're talking about the Hololive GT3 Japan Series finale venue. It's also the longest track of the season, hence why we talk about the 5.8 thousand kilometers. It's also known to be Matsui's home track because Suzuka is located in Mie, and Mie is basically next door to Aichi, in which Matsuri had said that this is her birthplace. And we'll talk about some of the few other guys here, few other cars here at the moment, but for now, we're gonna look into the championship context here for all the Split A runners in the Hololive GT3 Japan Series. Astor currently is currently leading the standings after round 9 after a penalty from Shazren. We'll get into that in a bit. 535 points for Astor in the lead. Pauley is second place in the number 56 Inugami Korone Honda, 529 points. Heinrich Heinz is now also up to third with 486 points. So you may want to pay attention to him as he's the first non-Honda in the standings in third. Then we also talk about how Shazren had 677 points heading into the final round, but because of that 200-point penalty that he accrued back in Okayama, basically he now has 477 points, and basically his tie is broken due to Shazren having 4 wins to Alex Grant's 1, who's currently sitting 5th. Yoshiro Hernandez is in 6th, Lorenzo Ricci 7th, Alex Bowen 8th, Andrew Chacos 9th, Mama Zohair in 10th. And then we have Dan Powell in 11th and Miguel Castro sitting in 12th, the last of the drivers currently eligible for a championship. Still mathematically in contention for the championship, as I say. Shaki Reza is out of championship contention, the first one out of championship contention here in this points. And for Jake Dean Fox, he replaces Kate Garcia in the number 6 Ocean Marine Lexus because Kate Garcia wanted to vacate the seat for her to focus on the Vestia Zeta ride, on which she had raced last Thursday. Jake Dean Fox now has the opportunity to race with Sean Pauley in this basically round, for just one round before the season ends. And also we have Daniel Bolatev rounding out the championship contenders here in 15th place. And as we're about to get the qualifying session underway, we welcome everyone here in the stream. We hope everyone here is enjoying the stream as much as we do. And as we're about to get these cars out on track and getting these track underway, welcome to the stream. We've reiterated this once again. I'm Mama Shazren in the commentary booth, and alongside me in the commentary booth is none other than Calvin Gibbens, who is returning to is now back on the booth for the first time since Autopolis Split, Tokati Split A. It's good to have you back, Gibbo.
Yeah, it's good to be back indeed. Good day, everyone. Hope you all are doing well today. So we've had our warm-up effectively on the East Circuit a few rounds ago. Now, as I said, the full Grand Prix layout is used in the GT World Challenge Series H as well, Super GT, Formula 1, etc. Definitely a track of a lot of history, and will be challenging for the drivers today.
And speaking of the driver that will be challenging for the title, we'll be taking a look into Sean Pauley. And please note that for this round, all drivers who are still in mathematical contention for the title will carry basically blue windshield banners to basically determine if they are still mathematically able to contest for the championship or not. And here we are, Sean Pauley in the number 56 Inugami Korone Honda has that blue windshield banner. Of course, second in the championship standings. Watch out for him, as he might be able to perform an upset over everyone else. Also, Hernandez 6th in the championship standings. But if you want to watch out from him, he may be a dark horse for the championship, but one of the few more realistic dark horses. From championship leader to dark horse, Mama Shadreza is now 477 points from the championship of 477 points. Was 677, but because of the penalty, he's now dropped down. So he's now basically a dark horse as well as Alex Grant, who's just getting out on track. And actually, we're gonna need to take a look into some of the few drivers here. Hang on. Here we have Hans-Heinrich Heinz. Actually, we forgot to mention Hans-Heinrich Heinz replaces Orihara Isaiah in the number 48 Ozora Subaru Lexus. Let's see what he can do.
Yeah, so definitely wide open at this point, especially after the penalty of Shazren. So I believe it was an electronics infringement. The stewards are having a look in on that and found something that breached technical regulation. So 200-point penalty there, and it's blown the championship wide open.
Yes, it's now become wide open for the championship, for everyone down to 12th place of the championship standings here, and we're about to go on board with the number 48 Ozora Subaru Lexus. It's now the favorite part. It's now your favorite part of the session here in qualifying, to basically commentate on one's hot lap. So Gibbo, let's commentate.
So obviously heading into the triangle corner, gets a really set up. It's a bit challenging to get good traction out of this corner. The lock curve gets really over here, especially the elevation drop, but seems like a decent setup. So obviously long front straight, 5th gear up to 6th gear. Want to set yourself up the first corner, so it's sort of a two-part first corner. There's a really fast right-hander, and then you got to slow back down again. So brake, 5th gear, 4th gear, and then brake again. Try and keep it stable, keep it nice and tucked in. And it seems to have done that at the moment. And now for the S's section, it really challenging. It's all about keeping momentum, keeping it nice and tidy. Obviously you want to go too wide on the exit, otherwise you compromise yourself in the following corners. So keep it nice and tucked in, not compromising yourself in the other corners. So still nice and tidy there through Dunlop. Long left-hander, a lot of load on the right tyres, but that's just the first sector. We've still got a couple more to go. It's a very long track here. So into Degner 1, 5th gear, 4th gear, really touches the curb there. Degner 2 again, really take a lot of curb. These GT cars can definitely absolutely mount those curbs. And then head into the heaven, slowest corner on the circuit. You sort of got to brake just right after that little right-hand king. Again, 1st gear, slowest corner. Keep it nice and tidy. Try and get good traction out the corner. Again, it's a bit of a challenging traction zone as well. And 200R flat out right-hander here, so not really too challenging of a corner. In stark contrast to Spoon Curve. So again, another 2-part corner, first apex there, and then got to brake again for the slowest second part. Keep it nice and tucked in, and now the long back straight, so a good chance to rest after those very technical first 2 sectors. So again, very technical circuit, and also 202 at the moment for the first lap runners. So now into 130. I'm gonna have to keep an eye. Taking a very conservative there, doesn't want to breach track limits there, so could have got a bit quicker there, but nevertheless, hard braking zone back into triangle corner. Again, really using a lot of the curve, get good traction out the corner, so it's aiming for a 2022 from Castro at the moment. What can you do? 1, 2, 2028 puts him in 5th place.
Make that 6th place as Muhammad Zohair displaces Heinz down to 6th. And as more Nissan set the pace here in Suzuka, if we want to talk about the cars to beat here in Suzuka, if we're talking about the Nissans, we have Miguel Castro, Muhammad Zohair, Shakir Reza, and actually Jake Deancock sets the provisional pole time of a 2:02.017. Scratch the Nissan dominance right now. We have a Lexus on provisional pole.
Just a BOP doing this thing. Usually you think, one's going to outperform the other, but then just bam, comes in the dark horse of the track here.
And speaking of dark horses here right now, Mama Shazren Reza, currently 4th place, is now qualified 6th, and currently the championship leader is 8th. And Sean Pauley down in 3rd team. So for Sean Pauley, he's not in a very good position, as does Hans-Heinrich Heinz. Hans-Heinrich Heinz is still qualified outside the top 10, as Alex Grant, though, 5th in the championship standings, has now qualified just behind his Gen 4 teammate.
Yeah, so Astor still qualified in the what would be a points-paying position at the moment. Obviously not the best place at the moment, but still ahead of some of the championship contenders. But of course, many others are still within mathematical contention, so will obviously want to bump himself up from the current qualifying position.
And currently, we want to talk about Miguel Castro as well. If Miguel Castro can win this race and the top runners don't score points, Miguel Castro might still be able to mathematically contest for the championship.
I think yes, of course, just mathematically in there, but of course has to rely, as you said, on the top runners basically not scoring points. So mathematically, yes, possible, but realistically not really possible, but definitely within a shout of potentially breaking the top 5 in the standings.
Yes, we want to talk about all these championship permutations here at the moment. If you want to talk about some of the championship permutations here at the moment, we know that Shakib Reza is just racing for funsies at this point. He has a white windshield. Basically, he's not going to contest for the Split A title anymore, as does Jake Dean Fox. Adak-RMS has finished his lap. He qualifies 9th, as high as 9th. And as for Hansari, he will qualify as high as 12th. Powell qualifies 10th. Dean Fox basically consolidates pole position because Castro's not looking to improve in his lap time, so he will most likely qualify on the front row. Zuhair will most likely qualify 3rd, Shakib Reza qualifying 4th. Daniel Bolata, fastest Honda, qualifies 5th. Shakib Reza is still out there, not gaining much lap time. Alex Grant has gained in the first sector. Personal best for him so far. Let's see if he can gain in the final 2 turns.
Yeah, it was a bit down in the second sector, but not by much. I think he's still got a bit of time in hand. So let's see, 201, 2. Not on pole, 7th place, so not really having it in the second and third sectors, but I think it was personal best.
Yeah, personal best for him, but no improvement so far. Castro, but look at this. Ida Tacosa has bumped Alec and Astor down to 10th place, which is yet to finish his lap time, as does Sean Paul. Sean Paul has not peeled into the bit. That's his qualifying effort over. And as for basically the rest of the field, we have Shazren finishing his lap time. And that's his lap time over, and we're gonna finish Lorenzo Ricci's lap time for us to transition over into the race. And that is him done. He will qualify 13th, and that's basically qualifying over. And before we're gonna get into the starting lineup for this race, we would like to hear from you, Gibbo, as to your opinion on the qualifying session so far.
Yeah, so not an ideal session for our championship leader at this point, but crucially, as a qualifying ahead of his closest rival, so that is something there, but obviously we want to improve in the race.
And speaking of the race here, we're about to kick off the final round of the season. Jake Dean Fox, on his first race in Hololive GT3, basically the second driver, the 4th driver in the number 6 Ultramarine Lexus. Basically set his car on the pole in the number 6 Ultramarine Lexus. Miguel Castro qualifies a decent 2nd place. He qualifies on the front row in the number 46 Omar Polka Nissan. Muhammad Zohair in the Nissan qualifies 3rd. Shakib Reza in the Nene Nissan qualifies 4th, fastest Honda. Daniel Bolata qualifies 5th in the Toa Honda. Shakib Reza qualifies 6th in the Himamori Luna Honda. Alex Grant in the Amani Kanata Nissan make that a Gen 4, 5, 6, 7. Joshua Hernandez and Andrew Tacos led Gen 1, Gen 0 members. Joshua Hernandez in the number 35. Sakura Miko Honda qualifies 8th. Andrew Tacos led in the number 12. Aski Nissan qualifies 9th. Alec Astor championship leader is 10th. Let's see what he can do from this position. Dan Powell 11th in the number 7 Astor Monster Lexus. Onside Ray Hines in the number 48 Ozora Sport Lexus in his first race. Let's see what he can do. Lorenzo Ricci qualifies 13th. Sean Pauley, 2nd place, qualifies 14th, not in the very good position. And Alex Bourne rounds up the 15-car grid as we're about to get the start rolling for Split A, Race 1, Round 10 of the 2022 Hololive GT3 Japan Series. Now, before we're going to get into the race, what do you think? Who do you think will be the favorites to win this race?
Oh, obviously Dean Fox very good on getting the first pole in the Lexus, despite what we thought about the BOP, so obviously we'll want to capitalize on that prime position for the race start. And in regards to the championship, I think Shazren Reza and Alex Grant have a good chance to try and make their way back up to the top of the standings with their higher qualifying position.
And speaking of the grid here right now, speaking of the drivers here, all 15 cars are lined up for the start. 15 cars lined up for the final round of the 2022 Hololive GT3 Japan Series. But first, we're going to deal with this race 1. Jake Dean Fox on the front row, Miguel Castro alongside him. And the final round of the 2022 season is underway. Look at Miguel Castro having a very good launch there compared to Dean Fox. Momozo has a good launch. Look at Daniel Bolatev. He has now jumped up a few positions there. Actually, no, he stays 5th place. We got Miguel Castro now assuming control of the race lead. Dean Fox now 2nd place. Zuhair 3rd, Shakir Reza 4th. Daniel Bolatev is seeing a side by side between Yosor Hernandez and Muhammad Shahid Reza. And for Shahid Reza, all points paying positions matter, and the highest points paying position matters as well. Mr. Shahid Reza will have to get his elbows out if he wants to get himself back into the championship lead. Meanwhile, Alex Bowen has also a very good launch there from the start. Alex Bowen now up to 13th place, is about to challenge Dan Powell for 12th place. Meanwhile, we're going to be taking a look into Alex Grant, now down to 8th place. Astor now up to 9th. Andrew Takovlet is now in 10th.
So very lovely clean start from the field, and Castro, despite starting on the dirtiest side of the track, was really able to put the power down with Nissan. Also, Nissan having more favourable power compared to the Lexus, and that really showed in that launch there.
And looking at here, Takovlet taking a peek down the inside, but not close enough there from Takovlet representing ASCII. As we'll be taking a look into the cars getting into 200R for the first time on board with the number 12 ASCII Nissan. Obviously holding on to the final points paying position here so far. Obviously we're not going to hold on to this 10 position point system for longer, as after the season finale we'll be converting into a 15-point system where the winner will get 200 points, and then we'll be down to 15th place. We will be only getting 1 point. Speaking of which, Shahid Reza getting really closer to Daniel Bolatev. Shahid Reza is going to try to make the offensive, but actually we're going to be hearing news that Shahid Reza has a bit of an issue with his car at the moment. And so Shahid Reza will, they're calling Shahid Reza into the pit lane. There's an issue with the tires, I think. There's a slow puncher that's going on in the number 31 Korone. He's now being called into the pits maybe, but right now Shahid Reza is holding on into the track here at the moment.
Yes, it's a slow puncture, so maybe able to get away with the first couple of laps, but obviously as the laps go on, it's going to get worse and worse, but just try to stretch it out as much as he can before the what the usual pit window is.
And right now we're looking at Miguel Castro still holding on to this race lead. Dean Fox in 2nd. As you can see, Shahid Reza is going to try his best to nurse his tires at the moment, as he is about to get into the back of Daniel Bolatev. Daniel Bolatev still holding on to 5th place. Basically, he's just running here to basically get himself assigned the championship standing as possible. For him, the championship is basically out of reach for Bolatev. For Shahid Reza as well, he's trying to get himself into a position to win a race or two. And as you can see, a lot of drivers getting very deep into deck. They're carrying a lot of speed into the corner. And as you can see, Dean Fox still only around a 5-10 gap between himself and Castro.
Yeah, so the field not really spreading apart at the moment. There's not really anyone that's just absolutely breaking away from the field as we have usually seen at some of the other rounds, so I think definitely it's going to be a lot closer for this one.
And right now we're looking at some of the few gaps that we're going to be taking a look here. Dean Fox still 0.6 of a second. This is where Dean Fox might just be able to get himself, claw himself back in. Claw the gap back into Castro at the moment. With this back straight, Castro is looking to build up the gap. Right now, as you can see, it's still 0.6 of a second into the back straight into 130R. And looking into Shahid Reza and Bolatev. Bolatev getting very anxious, getting some intimidation from Shahid Reza, but of course Shahid Reza is not going to continue in this track any longer. He's calling Shazren to come into the pits, but right now Shahid Reza is still out on track. So basically, he's basically ignoring the slow punch, and he says everything is okay at the moment. Let's see if this pays off for Shazren.
Yeah, I didn't see any contact, so I dare say it didn't run over any debris. Maybe just hit a curb too hard, but obviously not exactly something he wants, especially after that championship penalty. He really wants to make up the lost on points there. But as for the leader at the moment, still around 5/10 the margin, still not breaking away, and Dean Fox not really challenged at the moment. I think he's going to really challenge into those straights, just have to make up those time in the corners.
And right now we'll be also going to be noting the gap between Shakib Reza and Muhammad Zohair. Also Muhammad Zohair, we forgot to mention that Zohair is also probably on his way out after the 2022 season. He will be most likely replaced by Richie Rod. Richie Rod is the next driver who's going to be favored to take over the number 22 Shirakami Suzuki Nissan. So basically Zohair is basically running for broke here in the final races of the season, because he no longer has the commitment to do all GT3 at this point, so he just want to go out with a bang.
Yeah, pretty much nothing to lose at this point. He can just have his own race, do whatever he wants, just have fun while he's at it.
Meanwhile, we'll be taking a look into Alikan Astor. Okay,
he's going for a spoon at the moment here.
Yes, right now, got drivers on board at number 8, Akai Haato Honda, currently in the back straight and into 130R. Apologies because the connections have not been very good at the moment, and you can see Shazren Reza still holding on into the battle between himself and Daniel Bolatev. And let's see if Shazren Reza can still hold on to the strategy here at the moment. We're currently in lap 3 at the moment, but we're not in the moment. Yes, Shazren Reza now peels into the pits to nurse his basically slow puncture, and that's basically him contesting for the race wins over.
Yeah, might potentially be able to fill up for the one stop as well, but it's very ambitious, especially with the high tire wear nature of this circuit. Obviously, it's very technical, very high load on the tires, so it's very ambitious to try and put one set on for the rest of the race, but it's pretty much what he has to do if he wants to stay in contention.
And for all the viewers out there, right now Jake Deanfox is leading this. Jake Deanfox started on pole, but is now dropped down to second. Miguel Castro is now assumed the lead of this race. Who do you think is going to be the favorite to win this race? Let us know in the chat room, as we'll be taking a look into the race field monitor on who will go on about their strategy. So is going to try actually the one-stop strategy. He's going to be ambitious with his fuel. Also Hernandez also at 59 liters of fuel apparently. Andrew Tacos led at 18, Lorenzo Ricci 18, Alikan Astor 60, Muhammad Zohair 17, Dan Powell 13. So we're looking at a few drivers. We're looking at the Honda's going to try to go for no strategy, and no, there is no fuel infringement this time by. I think the Hondas are going to try to plan out their strategy very efficiently here to try to really stretch out their fuel margins for a no-stop strategy. But of course, with Shazren Reza being the only Honda driver making a pit stop, we could be seeing Sean Pauley getting out in the end.
Yes, a very ambitious strategy call for them there. We have seen it before, mainly the Lexus getting using that and probably this season. Of course, that loophole usually got closed up. But I think with the Hondas, it's legal this time. They just have enough in there to possibly last the entire race, but definitely going to nurse the tires.
And look at Dan Powell getting very close there to Sean Paul. Sean Paul has definitely lost some ground here to basically Sean Paul losing ground to Dan Powell. He's basically holding up the pack here. 3 Lexus cars and 1 Nissan behind the second to last Honda and currently in the field. And let's see what Dan Powell can do to make the pass on Sean Pauley.
Yeah, they're belt tucking in behind the slipstream there. Lexus still not really having that straight line speed. So it's actually wasn't too bad there. The slipstream was actually working a bit there, was starting to catch up, but obviously not enough straight, not close enough to go for that overtake. But I think the slipstream might be a decent option for the Lexus here.
And speaking of Shazren Reza, who's going to commit to the end of this race, as basically his first fuel stop done, he manages the tires very decently there. And basically with his tire management, he manages to pit at the end of lap 3. And with him pitting on lap 3, he may have just had enough fuel, fuel, basically had enough laps and fuel that he has right now to basically go on by the end of this race. So we could be seeing a strategy masterclass for Shazren Reza to rebound from what's basically a slow puncture into the points paying positions.
Obviously, it's going to end up having the oldest tyres towards the end, but on the upside, it will have clear air for a significant amount of time before the rest of the field make their stops. So he can just put his head down, pump some laps, so not really have to worry about those around him.
And speaking of the pit stop gap, we're looking at a 40-second pit window from the time you enter the pits from the time until you exit the pits. So you may want to take a look into the strategy here for some of the guys here. Shazren is looking to basically undercut a lot of the drivers here, up to maybe Taco's Light and Astor, if he can be very optimistic, and if the tires can really fall off even more. But right now, Shazren is currently closing in. The gap is now 33 seconds to Lorenzo Ricci in 14th.
Yeah, it will sort of depend on the rest of the field whether they start battling each other, start holding each other up. As I said, Shazren is in clear air at the moment, but still a long way to go in this.
And speaking of the fuel monitor right now, Heinrich Heinz is currently at 12 liters of fuel, Dan Powell at 8 liters as well as Zuhair. So watch out for these drivers. They will be the first drivers to make a pit stop to maybe overcut the rest of the field.
Yeah, overcut as well. Try and get those fresh tires towards the end of this stint. As I was saying, we're thinking high tire wear at this circuit. Very technical, very high line of tires, low, medium, high speed corners, traction zones, everything. It's a real test of the driver's skill in both just keeping the car on the track and also tire management.
And right now, Shakir Reza is really closing in into Muhammad Zohair. 2 Nissan battling it out for the final podium positions. Muhammad Reza is now banging the fastest lap of the race, 2:02.085 for the number 31 car, representing Himemori Luna. Reza is basically pumped to try to get himself back into contention for points, to basically regain the points lead, hopefully by the end of the series season. So Shazren is getting very feisty at the moment. Has his eyes set on making sure he gets the most out of his scenario at the moment.
Yeah, trying to make the most of an unfortunate situation, both the slow puncture and his deficit in the championship at the moment, but still in there, still in the top 5 of the championship, most in 4th as well, not too far off the lead despite that penalty, so definitely a lot to play for.
And based on his current strategy right now, he could be ahead of maybe Alex Grant and Josor Hernandez if it stays that way. But as you have noted, he will have the oldest tires available out of everyone so far. So that will be one thing that Shazren needs to be very cautious about, to make sure he manages the tires as much as he can. So that, look at Alex Grant side by side with Josor Hernandez making the pass at 130R. They kept it clean. That's very good stuff racing. Very good racing there between the two, but they're still side by side. Look at Josor Hernandez trying to get a good exit, and you can see it's actually very clean. They actually make contact, the two drivers, and you can see a side-by-side battle between Josor Hernandez. Josor Hernandez has the leg up, but with the horsepower of the Nissan, Shakir Reza peels into the pits. Here is the battle between Sakura Miko and Amane Kanata into turn 1. Who's going to edge ahead? They're still side-by-side. The side-by-side battle just keeps continuing for these two cars. That's an amazing racing, but eventually, Josor Hernandez manages to defend.
Yeah, keep it just nice and clean. I didn't really think they would go for it in 130R, but they are definitely going for it. Final round, there's not too much to lose really for a lot of these drivers, so they're just going all out right now.
Shakir Reza and Dan Powell have already made their pit stop. They will lose out to Muhammad Shazren Reza. Shazren Reza has now crossed the start finish line right now. Shakir Reza is out of the pits right now, but actually no, Shakir Reza has exited ahead out of everyone else. Remember, Shakir Reza has pitted from 4th place, and Shakir Reza is going to try to make sure his undercut strategy works to his benefit compared to basically Muhammad Zohair, who's still out on track.
And Shazren Reza now right behind as well. We're going back to sibling battles at the moment, so of course they meet together once again. And Shazren Reza on the warmer tyres at the moment, so we'll want to capitalize on that opportunity while Shakir Reza is still trying to warm up those tyres.
But right now, Shakir Reza really trying to get his tires warmed up right now. Remember, Shakir Reza has pitted from 4th place. This is a net battle for 4th place. The siblings battle between Shakir Reza and the Suzuka Nissan and the number 31 Himemori Luna Honda. Let's see what Shakir Reza can do to make it dive down the inside. Not close enough to make it an ambitious overtake. And as you can see,
not really an opportunity to overtake. You have to get.
Okay, the internet.
Come around through 200R, the moment heading towards sprint.
Okay, yeah, we have noted that one as well, and as you can see, Miguel Castro has not pitted from the race lead, as does Muhammad Zohair. But of course, I have to note the internet connection is not being very stable at the moment between myself and Gibbons. So don't mind the bit of a awkward gap between ourselves. Alex Grant peels in into the pit, tackles as well. Hines has pitted as well. Alex Bowen and Lorenzo Ricci. The majority of drivers have now pitted from where they are at the moment.
Yeah, so pit lane very busy at the moment. See what Shaka Red Zone, Shazren Red Zone, Powell end up turning out. They're both heading towards right now. Definitely a big opportunity here to make up a lot of positions. Field is still in the pit lane at the moment, whatever, all on the main straight. So let's see where they end up. Everyone coming pits, one's coming out the pits right now.
And look at this moment, Zuhair has just exited and actually kind of held up the pack just a bit. Remember, Zuhair has pitted from 3rd place, and now this is the battle for 3rd place. Shagareza has warmed up tires as of Mohamed Shazren Reza. This is the battle for 3rd place, the final podium positions, and you can see Mohamed is still a championship contender. As you can see, Shazren Reza is going to try to make a move on the outside of the S's. That is not usually the pace to overtake, but Shagareza is going to try his best to make a move anyway, but it's now not doing much in his favor at the moment.
Yeah, not really the place to overtake. There's really only one line that you can use in the SS section, so the best option possibly around 130 out towards the final sector. That's possibly where you get most of your overtaking opportunities, so you just have to tuck in and just be able to follow them through the technical sections.
And remember, you need to have a delta of a pit stop delta of 40 seconds and below in order for you to make the for you to pass the driver who is currently pitting right now. And currently, Miguel Castro is now 38 seconds behind Dean Fox, so it's going to be likely that Dean Fox will exit behind Miguel Castro, but it will exit ahead of Mohamed Zuhair.
Crucially, coming out at this main pack here, obviously going to be holding each other up at the moment. Just a little three-way pack at the moment as Dean Fox now pits.
Dean Fox is now pitted from the race lead. He has now given up the control of this race for him to get his mandatory pit stops done, get his car serviced, get a new fresh set of boots, get a splash of fuel as well. As you can see, Dean Fox is still in his pits, still on board with number 77, Momo Suzuka in his hand. But we're going to be taking a look into Miguel Castro barreling down into the race lead as of saying this right now. And as you can see, Jake Dean Fox has exited and has actually beat out Miguel Castro. Miguel Castro is going to come close. And actually, no, Miguel Castro has actually just managed to beat out Jake Dean Fox by doing the undercut strategy. That undercut strategy has worked wonderful for Miguel Castro. Now Miguel Castro now has a chance to keep his head down this race and basically focus on the win.
Yeah, very crucial for Castro and already extending out that gap as Dean Fox has to deal with the cold tyres. Was on the front straight. Castro obviously had the straight line speed. Dean Fox just coming out pit lane from the pit limiter, so just could not keep up.
And right now, J.D. Fox is currently in 2nd place. The pole sitter for race 1 here in Split A is now down to 2nd place. Mohamed Zuhair is still in the net 3rd place. Shaka Reza net 4th. Shaka Reza has done very well to consolidate his slow puncture right now to stay in 5th place. Alex Grant is currently in 6th place. Dan Powell's most likely in 7th or 8th. We'll want to pay attention to the timing tower as more drivers will pit. And as of right now, 4 drivers have yet to pit. And looking at Daniel Bolatev is also going to try to basically hold on into the... Actually, no. All drivers that are not Hondas have basically pitted, and the rest of the Hondas that's not Mohamed Shazren Reza is going to be trying their best to stay out on track. Let's see if Miguel Castro and Jake Dean Fox manage to overtake them.
Yeah, with Castro, I said the timing gaps at the moment are into gaps, so 30 seconds Castro is behind Pauley at the moment, so we've only about 10 out of 17, so not really a lot of time the grand scheme of things to try and make up that gap, so potentially a master stroke in terms of the Honda fuel strategy.
The Hondas, basically, remember we want to talk about one thing. The Hondas have basically multiple field maps. They have field maps that focus on basically a lousy end of the throttle map, and there's one with the spiky end of the throttle map. They may have learned how to basically manage their strategy very well with the fuel source. Basically managing the fuel map, managing the engine map, basically getting the right setup correctly to basically save a lot of fuel in the car at the moment. So right now the Hondas, and what's basically Honda's home track here in Suzuka, is going to be, like you mentioned, performing a master stroke of a strategy.
Yeah, and as I was saying about the fuel maps, so typically with these modern GT3 cars, some of them even have several fuel maps. So some of them have them for dry conditions, whether it be quali, so maximum fuel consumption, or during the race, or moderate fuel consumption with linear or aggressive throttle mapping. And there's even some fuel maps designed for wet weather racing or even under safety car conditions. Obviously no wet racing or safety car here, so it's all just dry running and using those dry maps, but it doesn't mean that they can't use those slower maps to their advantage.
And currently we're looking at the gap between Miguel Castro and Sean Pauley. We're going to be taking a look into the timetable once again. So Dave Dean Fox is currently setting a lap time of 2:02.294. We're at this point in the race where we could be expecting a higher fall off for the Hondas. Daniel Bolatin is still leading this race, leading the Honda pack. He's currently leading the Honda pack right now at number 10, Tokoyami Towa Honda. Joseph Hernandez second. Alican Astor leading this championship. Will be able to steal a few more points from Sean Pauley. Both of them basically started way back and is now in basically the top 5 positions.
Yeah, so literally the two championship contenders now battling at the moment next to each other right now. Obviously a Honda and Honda action at the moment, and I just say no team orders here. They're just going to do whatever they want.
And right now is a Honda battle between the Honda drivers here right now. They are going to go hammer and tongs between each other. And Hans Heinrich Heitz has the personal best lap time of him so far with a 2:02.331. And right now we're going to be taking a look at some of the gaps right now. And as you can see here, Team Fox is really trying to close in onto Miguel Castro. As you can see, with him being already faster than Muhammad Zohair. Muhammad Zohair, of course, holding Muhammad Shakif Reza back. And of course, that will allow Shazren Reza to try to catch up as well. Alex Grant, also one of those dark horses for the championship, is now in 10th place. But with Alex Grant actually being able to steal a lot of points, we're going to see a massively different championship outlook heading into the final race of the season tomorrow.
Yeah, it's looking like at this point it's going to be a two-way fight, realistically speaking, based on his current positions for Sunday's race. Honda's just absolutely running away with their strategy.
Sean Pauley is getting really close there, actually, between himself and Alican Astor. This is the championship battle at the moment. This is an on-track battle between the championship battle. Whoever's ahead of each other between these two competitors at the moment will instantly assume the championship lead, because remember, the gap is only 6 points between the two championship protagonists at the moment. If Pauley can make an overtake onto Astor into 3rd place, Sean Pauley will assume the championship lead.
Yeah, let's see if Pauley, the slipstream working now is getting closer and closer, but just not close enough to go for the overtake. Obviously in pretty much equal machinery at this point. Maybe there might be some individualized car setups, but effectively same machinery, same straight line speed. It's all about driver skill here.
And right now Shakir Reza is still trying his best to catch himself up to Muhammad Zohair. Of course, Shakir Reza is still being held up by Muhammad Zohair at the moment. Shakir Reza isn't gaining much ground on himself between himself and Shakir Reza. But Alex Grant though, Alex Grant's gonna try to get himself to the match between the battle between himself and Shazren Reza for basically the battle for 2 points.
There's a battle really going on at the top and the points table, and also at the bottom of the points paying positions as well. So little battles everywhere at the moment, and Castro still closing that gap ever so slightly as the laps go on. But again, I don't think there's going to be enough time to really fight for not even 4th place or podium position.
And currently Sean Pauley is going to try try his best to catch himself up to Alican Astor, but for now his focus is to close the gap, be as close as he can, exiting Spoon Curve and into the... Now closing in right now. The slipstream is working very well there for Sean Pauley. Takes a peek around the inside, but not close enough to make a move. Sean Pauley is going to try everything in his power to assume position over Alican Astor. Alican Astor making sure he manages to hold up Sean Pauley at just the right time. And right now the gap is now 4 tenths of a second between Adak Astor and Sean Pauley.
Yeah, Sean Pauley still absolutely nothing between them, and I think just not close enough to get in the first corner.
Okay, we managed to get ourselves back in connection right now. Apologies if there was a slight connection issue at the moment. As you can see, Sean Pauley really trying to get close there to Adak Astor. Adak Astor really trying to get himself into prime position. The current gap is still 4 tenths of a second. And right now, we actually want to take a look into the progress chart right now. Sean Pauley started 14th and is now up to 4th place. He's putting himself in the best position possible to be able to contest Adak Astor for the Split A Championship. And speaking of the bigger losers right now, Taco Slut started 9th and is now down to 14th. Jake Deanfall started on pole, is now down to 6th place. And speaking of tire age right now, the Hondas have the oldest tires right now. And for the ones with the youngest tires to connection here at the moment. And currently we're getting the green light here at the moment. We're getting a slightly more stable connection. So right now, where are we right now? We are around basically 4 laps to go here in this race. Daniel Bolton still assumes this race lead of 2 seconds over Yoshua Hernandez. Adak Astor and Sean Pauley really trying to get that Honda versus Honda battle in the championship going. And as for Miguel Castro, still exiting turn 2. I don't think Castro will be able to catch up to Pauley anytime soon, but Deanfall might be able to catch. I actually know he has already caught up to Miguel Castro.
Yes, I think Castro just tire wear slowly starting to kick it in. Deanfall's maybe just able to manage it a bit better. It's already caught up now. It was a couple of seconds the gap before, but now it's caught right back up with his closing stages. So at this point, Castro's not really going to fight for the top 4, but is really going to try and fight off Deanfall.
And currently Sean Pauley in 4th place, trying to get himself close into Adak Astor right now. Remember that they are leading the championship. 6 points separate between the two in Astor's favor. And an overtake at this high of a position right now would mean a championship swing. And speaking of the gaps right now, I don't think they're able to also catch Yoshua Hernandez. Yoshua Hernandez is still out there in 2nd place. Daniel Bolton is still holding on to this race lead. Again, look, as you mentioned, a master strategy from the Hondas. Very good stuff there from the Sakura car manufacturer.
Yes, I think Bellato and Hernandez are sort of just going to be cruising towards the end. Really not really much time left to catch up or battle against anyone else. I think the main battle here is going to be towards Astor and Pauley, as well as Castro and Deanfall.
And currently 203.395, 203.393. That's the lap times for Adak Astor and Sean Pauley respectively. And this would mean that Astor has gained a bit on Sean Pauley. They made Sean Pauley use too much of his tires, which is going to play to Adak Astor's advantage coming into the final race of the season.
It was just as Castro crossed the line doing 2:02.7, Deanfall 2:02.6, so those who are pitted having the 1 second advantage over the Hondas, but with such little time left, that's not really a factor, so they don't have to worry at all about that.
And looking at the gaps right now, Deanfall has not caught on to Miguel Castro, but with his entire advantage, we don't know if he can make the pass possible. But Alex Grant, though, watch out for him, as he may want to make the pass for the 9th place to Shazren Rizzo.
Yeah, just tucking in through the SS section, not really an opportunity to take, as there's only really one race in line to go in this section, otherwise you're up in the marbles, losing grip and trailing behind, so just tucking it in, just trying to wait for an opportunity.
And looking into the gaps right now, Adak Astor still in 3rd place, already building a gap to Sean Pauley. The gap was 0.8 seconds now, so 1.2 seconds between the two. Sean Pauley, his priorities in this race have now shifted from attacking Adak Astor to holding on to 4th place, but it's actually harder said than done, because the gap between 4th and 5th is actually 23 seconds.
Yeah, 23 seconds, and there's not much time left, so that doesn't really matter there. But Astor finding that new sense of speed there, obviously possibly just management tires a bit better. As for the tail points of the points paying positions, those Grant still trying to keep tabs on Shazren and Shakif Redza as well. Maybe go for a last lap overtake there, but now just head out towards Spoon Curve and getting back into the slipstream towards 130R.
And currently we have finished basically 50 laps of the race, 2 laps to go for all the drivers here. Everyone looking to finish on the lead lap at the moment. Alex Grant looking to come close to Mohamed Shazren Reza. The gap is now 0.3 of a second. The straight is what Nissan has the power. The cornering ability is on the Honda at the moment. Shazren Reza holding on to 9th place at the moment. Lowest Honda in the field right now. 5 tenths of the gap between Shazren Reza and Alex Grant. And let's see if Alex Grant can make use of the Nissan power advantage in this main straight. Remember, it's downhill, so the straight line speed is even more exaggerated here.
Yeah, so closing ever so slightly again, not close enough to really go into the first turn, so we'll get one more opportunity at that for the final lap, and this is demonstrating its power advantage. We saw it at the start with Castro absolutely lynching off the start against Alexis, and it's much the same when battling in a straight line.
And right now we're looking at Daniel Bolata still consolidating the lead over Hernandez. Sean Pauley has built up, has clawed back some of the gaps here between himself and Astor. It was 1.2 seconds now down to just 1 second flat. So we may see a last lap pass from Sean Pauley, but I doubt there will be a pass anytime soon. But for Alex Grant, it's definitely realistic.
Yeah, realistic for Grant, but for Astor and Pauley, like, they have a lot to lose here. Obviously, a collision could be absolutely critical for the championship, depending on whoever survives, or if even either of them end up emerging safely at all.
And currently, we're taking a look into Alex Grant getting into the battle here between himself and Shazren Reza right now. The gap is still 7 tenths of a second. Sean Pauley still maintaining that 1 second gap over Alican Astor. They knew that collision is going to be unnecessary for both of them. So both of them are going to try to play safe in 3rd and 4th at the moment, as they'll be in the prime position anyway to seal the title by the final round.
Yeah, obviously one more race to go after this one for Suzuka. Of course, we have Slippy right up next, but for now, Grant's still tugging into the slipstream towards 130R, but still not really close enough to go for an overtake, so we'll have to rely on a good run out of the triangle corner. Nice and stable for 130R, and then hard braking zone.
And as we're saying this right now, we have already started the final lap of the race. Daniel Bolatev has done a massive stroke to get himself into the top spot and stay out of trouble, and making use of the Honda's immaculate fuel strategy here at the moment. Daniel Bolatev already into Dunlop curve, heading into Deckner. What can I say about Daniel Bolatev? Daniel Bolatev has had some ups and downs ever since he started Formula GT3. He has had some mediocre finishes over the season. He has finally broken through the podium at Fuji, if I'm not mistaken, and since then has been showing some pace at the moment, but not as much as this race. Daniel Bolatev has done quite a few things in this season so far, but this one will be very special for him, as he's currently leading the final portion of race 1 of Split A, round 10.
Yeah, very special for him indeed. It would definitely be a good thing for his championship. Obviously not in contention for the main championship, but definitely will get him right up there in the big field compared to the performances before.
Yeah, we know that one, Gibbo. Actually, we're gonna pause for a while. Before we're gonna need to take a look into the internet connection. That's still pretty much hit or miss at the moment. But I think we managed to get ourselves sorted. Daniel Bolatev, representing the Tokoyami Kenzoku, is gonna get himself out into the final few corners and heading into Casio Triangle. He's definitely going to be screaming into the car right now in joy and jubilation. He's about to bring home a win for Tokoyami Towa. Daniel Bolatev crosses the line to win here in Suzuka. Very good stuff there from Daniel. And of course, we had Alican Astor finishing 3rd and 4th, and Roser Hernandez finishing 2nd. And we apologize if there is another mishap in the connection here at the moment, because we're absolutely running in a slightly unideal solution. But the results here, as it stands, Daniel Bolatev has won this race. Yoso Hernandez is in second, Adak-RMS third, Pauley fourth, Miguel Castro fifth, Jake D. Fox is Mohamed Zuhair seventh, Shakir Reza eighth, Shazren Reza ninth, and Alex Grant is in 10th place right now. Dan Powell in 11th, Alex Bowen 12th, Heinz is in 13th, Tacos at 14th, and Richie is in 15th at the moment. Again, we apologize for the botched end of the race here at the moment. We're going to be taking a look into the race results. Actually, we're going to be taking a look at the race results right now. As we have reiterated before, Daniel Bolatev has won this race. Looking at the results here, Daniel Bolatev has done an immaculate job to make sure the strategy has worked out for him, as does Yoso Hernandez in second. Astor manages to maintain his race lead into the final race of the season for Split A. Pauley in 4th, Miguel Castro 5th, J.D. Fox 6th, Mohamed Zuhair 7th, Shakir Reza 8th. Shakir Reza does a very good job to basically do damage limitation in 9th place. Alex Grant finishes 10th. Dan Powell in 11th, Alex Bowen 12th, Hans Heinrich Heist 13th, and Tacos Life 14th, and Lorenzo Ricci 15th. As we're about to transition over into the championship battle in the final race of the season, we're gonna need to basically do a bit of a transition first. So, Gibbo, looks like you're still here in the commentary booth. I would like to hear your thoughts about this race, but before that, I will want to apologize for everyone for seeing internet connection. And that messy internet connection basically interrupted the broadcast for just a bit. So Gibbo, outside of the internet problems, what are your thoughts on the race?
Yes, obviously a very ambitious strategy from the Honda manufacturers there, with the exception of Shazren who had to pit because of that slow puncture, but the Hondas making use of their high and bloody fuel tanks to do a no stop and nurse the tires towards the end. So we thought with Castro getting the good start might have been good for a win there, but no, it was the Honda strategy masterstroke they got there in the end.
And actually, we're going to need to confirm here that we're looking at the championship standing, and it's actually a bit interesting here looking into the final round of the season. From 12 championship contenders, we have now dropped down to 4, And speaking of basically only 4 contenders left, you need to be around 490 points and above to contest for the championship. And with a lot of the issues that some of the drivers are currently having, we have had confirmation that Astor and Pauley making good wonders in the championship. And with Shazren Reza having his blunders in the race, this would mean that Shazren Reza is now out of title contention heading into the final round of the season. Hans-Heinrich Heinz, Josor Hernandez, being one of the biggest benefactors of the championship protagonist, having some issues right now. So we're looking at the top 4 who is going to be able to compete for the championship in the final race of the season tomorrow on Sunday. Shazren Reza will look to be the first one on the outside looking in, as does Alex Grant. Lorenzo Ricci down to 7, Alex Bowen 8th, Johair 9, Tacos Light 10th, Miguel Castro 11th, Dan Powell 12th, Daniel Bolata 13th, Chucky Reza 14th, and Jake Defons is in 15th. And we're going to transition over a bit into the Split B race right away. But first, we're going to need to adjust some of the blunders that we have at the moment, because we apologize if the internet connection has not been forthcoming. At the moment, we have had another ad hoc problem that we have had to deal with. But for now, we're going to get ourselves in preparation for Split B. So, Gibbo, before we're going to get into the Split B race, I want to hear your thoughts about the Split A race and heading into Split B.
Yeah, so as I was saying before, we're thinking, Nissans were looking really good in qualifying. Obviously, we had Lexus pole position, but with Castro with the decent launch, we were thinking it was going to be a battle between Dean Fox and Castro. But Honda making use of their technical ability to do their no-stop, with exception of Shazren Reza, and absolutely benefit from that. And of course, the 2 championship contenders battling one another, and they had a go at one another, but not really able to absolutely overtake each other in the end. Just obviously equal machinery, it's all about driver skill, but they were just very much even on pace. But nevertheless, it was a good fight between the 2 championship contenders.
And as of right now, we're going to need to take a double check on the cars. Yes, what about the cars' legality here right now? Yes, the cars are legal, but that masterstroke of a strategy may just be a one-of-a-kind wonder for all of the drivers to basically take part, as it's basically in the right place at the right time. It's basically managing the strategies at just the right place at the right time. So just because at one time it may work, it doesn't mean that all the other times it just just because one time doesn't work doesn't mean that all the other times it will work. So we're looking at the Split B, guys, looking for a slightly different strategy here at the moment. And speaking of which, we're gonna need to get ourselves into the preview of the Split B championship battle. But first of all, let's roll in the basically pre-race once again. And here it is. Basically, first of all, you're gonna be seeing black, but now you're going to be seeing the racetrack soon enough. And actually, wait for it. We have forgot to turn off the basically the graphics. Anyways, we're back onto the racetrack for the Split B race in the 2022 Hololive GT3 Japan series. We have talked about the racetrack. We basically talked about all of that as well. And now we're going to be taking a look into Split B. After round 9 of the season, it's Putri Farah Kamal who assumes the race lead over Callum Gibbens in 2nd place. Mateus, who won the Porto, holds on to 3rd. Valeris of the Mancha we see in 4, representing Aki Rosenthal. Hofelmeister highest Nissan in the field right now after a late season comeback. So Hofelmai with the Tokino Sora Nissan in 5th place. Wawan Haato in the number 20 Shiranui Flair Nissan in 6th. Thomas Snooks in the number 43 Shirobota Lexus in 7th. These are the 7 championship protagonists here in Split B. Catherine Vasiliev and the rest of the drivers below are out of the title contention. So Vasiliev in 8th, Azad 9th, Kaczynski 10th, Akimev 11th, Kizar Leo 12th, Cashew 13th, Sergei Petrov 14th, and Santini 15th. They're out of title contention. But for Thomas and above, they have a championship battle to fight. And let's see who's going to basically edge ahead of each other and who is going to be the benefactor of basically each of their battles heading into qualifying in and race 1 of the Split B round 10 race 1 here in Suzuka. Gibbo.
So obviously with Split B, I'm kind of rooting for myself here. I was very close to the lead in the championship. Lost the lead last round after the pit stop blunders. Blunders, put it very lightly, was very comedic but not very beneficial for my championship.
Yeah, admittedly the Tokachi pit road entry for the Lexus car have been one of the most interesting parts of the season that we have paid attention to. But of course, I also want to talk about another aspect of a few things. With Shazren's blunders in Suzuka Race 1 and with his 200-point penalty, that has basically curtailed his championship chances. And now, come to think of it, now Shazren is out of the title out of the competition for the championship entirely, with him placing over 100 points behind the championship leader Astor.
At least at this point, I'm still in it, just behind by under 11 points, I believe.
Yeah, only under 11 points behind Farah Kamal. As you can see, this is the championship leader. You're seeing the number 63 Yukihana Lamy Honda. Let's see if the chat can be alive for their respective Oshis. And speaking of Oshis, actually, Andrew Rahimba is now out on track. And actually, you want to note that today is August 20th. And August 20th is basically the birthday for Okami Mio. And Okami Mio, it is her birthday today. Let's wish her a happy birthday in the chat, in the live chat. Let's wish her all the best in her future. Let's wish her all the best in her future in Hololive and all that stuff. And speaking of the rest of the drivers here, we're gonna go on board with a driver. And here is your car, basically, Gibbo. Second place in the championship standings, only 11 points behind Farah Kamal in the championship lead at the moment. So Gibbo, here comes another one of your favorite parts in the commentary booth. This time you will be commentating your own car for your hot lap here in Suzuka.
It's very much the same as before, getting set up well headed into triangle corner. Again, very difficult to get a good exit with the elevation change and a bit bumpy here as well, but keep it decently tidy onto the main front straight. So I think we saw in split A qualifying was around a 2 minutes 2, so we'll want to aim for that or under. Looking at the track conditions, it's fast at the moment, so maybe not as grippy, but nevertheless heading into the first corner. It was the fast first sector, the first corner, and then another braking zone into the second part of that. Keep it nice and tucked in, and then into the S's. Little medium speed section here, and then slowly getting more tighter section goes along. Want to keep up that momentum and not compromise himself into the next corner, but still keeping them line nice and tidy. Now heading through Dunlop, keep it nice and tight on the inside, getting good traction on the exit for sector 2. Now next heading into Degness 1 and 2, and absolutely direct those curves into the corner. GT cars can really take them, keep it within track limits there. Degna 2, mounting the curve again, not really using all the track on the exit there, but keep it within track limits. And now heading into the hairpin slowest corner on the circuit. First gear 70 km an hour mid-apex speed. And then fighting for traction, getting out now towards 200 flat out of the right hander. Not really too difficult there, but now heading back into spoon curve once again. So kind of a two-part corner. So we've got this little first apex there, fourth gear, and then brake again for the second part, third gear. 115 km mid-apex speed, and heading back onto the back straights. Keeping up to the maximum gear here. Obviously Lexus not really up there in terms of top speed. Sector 2 is not their session best here, so really throw into 130 hour, try and get a good third sector. They want to be competitive at this point. And Farah Kamal setting up a 203 flat as a benchmark, so not as grippy at the moment, but nevertheless it is a benchmark to aim for. So 58.9, 2 minutes, 1, 2, 3, so not going to be bold 203.3, so provisionally third at this point, but well, last of those who have set their laps already.
Calvin Gibbens had qualified third because he's continuing his good form. Come the end of the season, he qualifies second. Umai is about to start his flying lap. Initially, don't hit the race on his lap. Captain Vasily sets to 204.811. Santini sets to 203.595. Zahara Leo's actually winning pretty decent there in the Honda as well. And Kizarlia, where will he stand? 6.
There's still the rest of the field to set their laps at the moment, so Roboco, Dimitrov, Azad, Petrov, Olimpiev. Still a few others then on their laps at the moment, as we have Azad heading towards Farah Kamal, Deporto, 2:04.5 in 7th place at the moment.
Okay, actually Azad with 6th place right now, Vasilyev in 10th, Deporto 9, Kizarlia 8. We're looking at 5 more drivers who are getting into the pit lane, getting their lap times in. Kizarlia basically 12, Rakhimbayev is in 11th. So we're gonna go off topic here for a while. While we are having our internet issues, is anyone able to get themselves back into the split A race? Basically rewind themselves back into the split race, because on our current end we cannot rewind ourselves back into the split A race that we have basically hosted earlier due to the internet issues that we had. So we would like to notify the viewers to see if they can rewind back, because right now we are unable to rewind back. And speaking of which, right now Farah Kamal sets a provisional pole time of a 2:03.094. Now Gibbens not far behind in 3rd place.
Yeah, obviously the championship leader that's in the provisional pole at the moment. I'll just say, I can't unfortunately rewind back either, but I'm sure hopefully it will come up in the VOD, so you should be able to watch it back at the conclusion of this stream. Again, we apologize for that.
Yeah, apologies indeed. And right now Cal Gibbons, that's his qualifying session over. He will qualify as high as 3rd. Doesn't want to go within his lap time right now. Cal Gibbons has not peeled into the pits. Kaczynski is still out on track. Farah Kamal is still in the provisionally on pole. Fumai looks like he has finished his qualifying session. He will qualify 4th. Santini is not looking to improve anytime soon. He has had a very meh 2nd and 3rd sectors. Postel stays 5th. Vasilyev doesn't improve either. Remember, Rakhimbayev is racing on upcoming Mio's birthday today. Is still kind of there in 13th place, but with the Honda strategy at the moment. Let's see if they can the Split B guys can replicate what the Split A Honda drivers can do.
Yeah, obviously want to make use of that strategy once again. Obviously worked out very well for them in Split A, and especially for the championship leader in a Honda is a potential chance to further extend that championship lead, as Gibbons my car will likely doing a one-stop, because last I heard Lexus aren't really going to try any exploits today.
And looking at Farah Kamal right now, current championship leader says 124, 125. So Farah Kamal is really trying to get herself in a prime position to hold on to this race lead and have the best platform possible to fight for a championship. And speaking of which, Farah Kamal has actually set the fastest 2nd sector of the session so far, purple 2nd sector. Let's see if Farah Kamal can improve once again.
And through 130 are now trying to move on our own lap in towards triangle corner, so the final section here, hard braking zone, 2nd gear, 1st gear, using a lot of that curb and maintaining traction on the exit there. 58, 9, 2, 1, 2, 3 flat. I think it might be identical. I can't see if it's quite improved, but it was very close.
We're looking at the lap times right now, 2:03.049. That's a very good lap from her. Yes, that she has improved. And looking at Raji Kaczynski does improve. He actually has the fastest final sector, but still could not be Farah Kamal's lap time. We're looking at the last 3 drivers who are going to finish their lap time. Vasilyev will look to qualify 12th. And here is Santini as well. Santini will be the last driver. Andre Fuma has already crossed the line. He will qualify 4th. Vasilyev will look to qualify 12th. And Santini will look to qualify 5th. And that's basically qualifying over here in Split B. So we're going to need to get into the starting lineup first. But first we want to hear your thoughts of qualifying ahead of the race here in Suzuka.
So the best outcome that you can get for the championship leader standing on pole at the moment. Obviously Gibbons not that far behind, so still within a shot here to challenge for that championship lead.
Okay, so we're gonna be taking a look into the starting lineup for the Split B race here in Suzuka. Farah Kamal is in basically on pole position on the best seat in the house for basically being able to fight for a championship, leading over your championship rival in 3rd place. Representing Yukiana Lamy, Farah Kamal is in a prime position to fight for a championship. Kaczynski is in 2nd. In Yuzuki Choco Lexus, another good performance from him in the latter stages of the season. Cal Gibbens in 3rd, Fumai 4th, Santi D 5th, Azad 6th, Plaza de Machan 7th, Kizuhara Leo 8th, Cashew 9th, Was Haato 10th, Mateus Wanda Porto 11th, Catherine Vasilia 12th, Thomas Nukes 13th, and Rahim Raya 14th, and Sergey Petrov rounds out the 15th car grid. We're gonna get into the transition into the race going basically. Farah Kamal basically starting this race on pole, and there it is. 50 cars line up in the grid. Farah Kamal is in 1st place. Count Gibbons is in 3rd. Where will the championship protagonists head into as we're about to start the race 1 of Split B, the 2022 Hololive GT3 Japan Series season finale, round 10 here in Suzuka. Farah Kamal, look at Farah Kamal already consolidating the gap here over Kaczynski. Gibbons is in 3rd, and look at Santini already beating Fumai off the line to 4th place right now. You can see Fumai getting offline there, being under pressure from Vladislav Damashnev. Remember, Vladislav Damashnev is currently 4th at the moment, only 100 points behind, only just about 100 points behind Farah Kamal. So Damashnev wants to try to maintain a good gap between himself and Farah Kamal to put himself still in mathematical contention for the championship. Azad 7, Leo 8, Cashew 9, and the Porter rounds out the top 10.
Yeah, still clean stuff on the field once again. Some side-by-side action there, but no major collisions. Farah Kamal, very good traction off the line. I think the Hondas and Nissans overall had really good traction to the starts. Lexus lagging a bit behind on those starts, but still maintaining position. I'm just curious to see whether there'll be any team orders between Gibbons and Kaczynski given the championship battle here.
Well, we're going to be taking a look later on right now, but you can see the board trying to make a peek around Cashew. Actually, no, Cashew has been pushed around the outside, goes over way too wide there, exiting the hairpin, and is almost lost out to the Porto. Remember, the Porto is also in the championship battle as well, and as it stands right now, only Farah Kamal and Count Gibbons will be eligible to fight for the championship in the final race of the season, as it stands right now with the Porto and the Mustang in 10th and 5th respectively.
Yeah, Farah Kamal already extending that gap out, already over a second margin, and Gibbons just a few tenths behind the fellow Lexus driver there, so he wants to dispatch him very quickly if he wants to go right towards the top of the championship.
And right now, we're looking at we're looking to finish lap 1 of this race. One lap completed so far here. Farah Kamal holding on to a 2-second gap here between herself and Raja Kaczynski. The gloves are off for Farah Kamal. Kaczynski hold up 2nd place. Let's see if Cal Gibbons can make the pass on Raja Kaczynski, because I don't think there will be any team orders.
Yeah, I think, Lexus, I think it's been sort of the theme for this whole series. No team orders, let them just fend for themselves. We've seen a bit of, civil action as we put it. And as we look at the film on it, the Honda is going to do the same thing this time around.
We may want to take a look into it, but with the Honda being quite separated between each other, Farah Kamal is in 1st, Kizuhara Leo 8th, Rahimbayev and Vasiliev in 12th and 13th. I don't think there will be a strategic battle there between the Honda. They're all left to fend for themselves right now, but for Kaczynski and Gibbons, that's a different story because they are currently 2nd and 3rd respectively. Let's see what they can do.
Yeah, and Farah Kamal still further extended, already nearly 3 seconds the margin already, so Farah Kamal already dominated quite early on. He's really got a good launch, warmed up the tyres quickly, and absolutely running away from the field at the moment.
And currently, Farah Kamal definitely setting the pace here in Suzuka. 3 seconds now between herself and Kaczynski. And actually, we're going to look at the race field monitor earlier than usual. Remember, Farah Kamal is actually fueled much more than everyone else. And as for some of the remaining drivers here, such as basically Count Gibbons is actually going for the undercut strategy as well. Look at him only having 17 liters of fuel. And basically, he will be the first driver to pit. And Kaczynski is on a middle of ground strategy. And look at this. Cal Gibbons is going to try to make a move around the inside, but he's not quite close enough.
It was a very risky move going into that. Could have easily been a major collision and potentially a championship over, but lives to fight another day.
And currently, Farah Kamal, if he wants to basically win this championship, Cal Gibbons will need to stay outside be outside the points essentially, and essentially he'll need to finish 8 or lower, and Farah Kamal winning this race for her to win the championship at this race 1 day earlier than scheduled.
again, as I was saying before, don't want to have take too much risk here for both of these contenders really, because it's obviously Farah Kamal less at risk at the moment out all on her own, but with Gibbens here, very high risk situation here for trying to battle Kaczynski.
And right now, Gibbons still 4/10 behind Kaczynski, needs only 4/10 behind. Gibbons is now definitely under pressure from the Mazda, who has gone onto the rear end of Santini at the moment. Okay, Rakhimbayev already catching up to Wawan's Haato. Wawan's Haato getting very sluggish there off the SF. Remember, Nissan's pace is at the straights, not at the corners. Well, the Honda is basically the opposite. Well, it does have a bit more straight line speed than usual, but remember, the Honda is also hard to control. So Rakhimbayev really getting into the rear end there of Wawan.
Yeah, absolutely wrestling the car through down here now, heading back towards the hairpin. Hairpin, we haven't really seen any overtaking opportunities there, so just keep it nice and tucked in there. It's mainly around the front straight or around 130R that we've seen the main overtaking chances here.
And currently we're going to be taking a look into Andrew Rakhimbayev trying to get himself close to Wawan's Haato. Wawan's Haato is still pretty much there at the moment. Mateus who won the Porto in 10th, Cashew 9, Kizuhara Leo 8, Azad 7, Last of the Mazda 6, Santini 4th. The Mazda 5th, Fuma is actually 6th, Santini 4th, Gibbons 3rd. And Kaczynski still holding out the rest of the field. That is not going to do Gibbons any favors. Gibbons will really need to try to get a very good launch of the final turn. But look at Santini really trying to pile the pressure onto Gibbons here at the moment.
Yeah, Kaczynski just being the bottleneck of this pack at the moment. Like once they can get ahead, obviously this pack should spread out, but Kaczynski is currently holding them all in place, with Farah Kamal still extending that gap over 5 seconds now.
Look at the last lap there, 202.550 for Farah Kamal and Kaczynski, 203.935, and Cal Gibbons 204.013. So that's not going to do any of the drivers behind Kaczynski any favor if they want to challenge for the win, and especially for Cal Gibbons as he's going to fight for the championship.
Yeah, obviously sit on the podium at the moment would still be in it at the conclusion of this race, but obviously wants to get up there to second, even potentially fight for the win, but that is just further and further stretching away as the race goes on. Over 5.5 seconds the margin, he was still stuck behind Kaczynski.
But please note that Cal Gibbons is the least fuel amongst everyone else, out of everyone so far. 12 liters currently in the number 64 car. So I expect Gibbons to pit very early in this race and try to make that undercut strategy work. As we haven't received confirmation that the Hondas are not going to repeat the strategy, the master stroke that they have done for Split A for this race here in Split B, as it's a one-of-a-kind strategy actually.
Yeah, so that one guy not going to be implemented here, and Farah Kamal still extended the margin over to 6 seconds now, so I think the best option to give us this point is, as I said, he's going to do that undercut, pit early, get himself into clear air. He's showed the pace in qualifying, he can potentially show the race in race pace as well, but just doesn't need this bottleneck right now.
And currently we're taking a look into, because he's still holding up the rest of the pack here, and right now, let's see if Gibbo can get close. Not quite close enough, but it's going to be under pressure for Santini. Currently, the Lexus cars is currently second and third are basically sitting ducks at the moment.
Yeah, Santini obviously not one of those not in championship contention at the moment, so just running their own race can just have fun, have a good laugh. Well, maybe not a laugh, but just be ambitious with this final round. Nothing really much to lose here, but some potential to gain in the midfield in terms of the championship standings. But still keep it up with this pack. I think the two Lexus have slightly broken the way, but I think they're going to contract back up as Kaczynski continues to hold up the gap.
And currently, Kaczynski is literally being the let's use metaphors here. He's literally the Yano Trulli of Hololive GT3 at the moment, at least in this race. As you can see, he qualifies very well, but of course the machinery and pace is just not there, and he eventually holds up the rest of the pack here, especially in tracks where it's especially difficult to overtake, especially here in Suzuka. As you can see, Gibbons really trying to get into the rear end of Kaczynski, but every time he tries to do that, it's just not close enough to make an overtake on Kaczynski.
Yeah, they're truly trained indeed, as we put it back in the Formula 1 days. Still holding up this pack of mine. Farah Kamal still extended that gap. You'd almost think that and a hot take here, but it must be Kaczynski's just working for Farah Kamal here. Just, you know, probably slipped the brother say, hey, you just hold the pack for me, I'll win the championship and I'll give you a nice dinner out of it.
That's a pretty odd theory, to say the least here at the moment, to say that Farah Kamal has basically tipped Kaczynski to basically hold out Gibbens for her own gains in the championship, because if it is true, then there are massive penalties for basically race manipulation. And as I'm saying this right now, if she's caught doing so, she may be entirely excluded from the championship entirely, as we may have seen with maybe Crash Game 2008, but way worse.
As I said, very hot, very spicy take.
Yeah, we have noted that as well, but right now we have not heard of any communications between Farah Kamal and Riley Kaczynski, especially since they are racing for different manufacturers. Farah Kamal's in a Honda and Kaczynski's in a Lexus, so I don't expect anything as outlandish as that. But right now, Gibbens is running very low on fuel right now. He could pit this lap or maybe the next lap.
Yeah, going to go for that undercut, try and get out into clear air. Gap now over 7 seconds from Farah Kamal to Kaczynski. So Farah Kamal just absolutely cruising, even still being held up along with the rest of the top 5. And I think this pack is even going back to around 7th place, I believe, outside of the back rear end of this pack.
And looking at the gaps right now, Kizuhara Leah is also kind of caught on to the pack as well, but Kizuhara Leah is only at 204.559. And Raja Kaczynski has found some pace back. He's now lapping in the 203, but Farah Kamal is lapping in the 202s.
Yeah, so Farah Kamal very much managing the stint of it, although I made very consistently in 202s, consistently faster than the rest of the field, even when you factor in that bottleneck. So just absolutely dominated at this point.
Sergei Petrov is actually kind of closing in onto Catherine Vasilyev there, but of course he's still not close enough for a pass. As you can see, the gap was around 0.2 of a second. Now it's back up to 0.2 again, but into the braking zone, it may open up to maybe 0.4 of a second. There it is. And meanwhile, we could be taking a look into Callum Gibbons potentially pitting. And yes, we have confirmation that Callum Gibbons will be the first to pit to make use of his undercut strategy.
Yeah, so very critical pit stop in terms of the championship context here. We'll want to absolutely get out, obviously we'll get out into clear air, but in that clear air, once they get his head down, smash out some fast laps, and want to aim for those 2-minute 02s, and at least try. Always having a look into 130R, but once again, not really there, so he's just going to say, alright, I've had enough. Get in, get some fresh boost, more fuel, clear air, just gun it. Okay, and as of right now with the field bunching up, Kaczynski may play actually in the favor of Gibbons actually. You talked about the very spicy take of Farah Kamal to Kaczynski to hold off Gibbons, but look at this actually. The Machine actually going to try to go side by side with Santini, but the gap right now is not on the favor of the Lexus right now as Callum Gibbons peels into the pits. The first driver to do basically pit for basically fresh rubber. And look at Puma already going all around the outside, but now look at Azad trying to make a move around the inside, but not quite close enough. Yeah, not really an overtaking zone here. Not much grip at all outside of the racing line. You get stuck in the marbles and you compromise yourself the rest of the S's section. Kaczynski now has broken up that pack a bit. Santini's occupied with the drivers behind and not really closing up that gap to Kaczynski. And right now, Farah Kamal is holding on to her stint at the moment, holding on to this race lead at the moment. If she wins this race, she will basically break the all-time wins record for anyone in Hololive GT3. And look at this! Look at Puma really hounding the rear of basically Vladislav Damashev, really trying to get himself as close as possible to Damashev. And look at him trying to go way wide there. Look at Azad trying to make a move around the inside, but they're not alongside now. So Puma holds on to 5th place. Yeah, Fumai just losing traction a bit out the heavens. A very difficult traction zone, very easy to spin up the rear tires, but for now maintains the position. And right now, Gibbons, we did mention before that the pit stop window is around 40 seconds, so Gibbons
it could be able to overcut everyone until Santini. While with Kaczynski still holding on to the strategy right now, it could be borderline between Gibbons and Kaczynski, and with Kaczynski holding on the rest of the pack, Gibbons may just well consolidate second place and minimize the damage between himself and Farah Kamal.
Yeah, it's very much damage to control. The moment Farah Kamal still lapping in the 2-minute 2, so I think that win, unless there's a major mistake from Farah Kamal, that win may be long gone at this point. Obviously, around the halfway point of this race, still a lot to go. But Farah Kamal very consistent, so pretty less likely for a mistake here.
And right now we're about to reach the halfway point of the race, so Haato has managed to get himself a pass on a few drivers here right now, but this is only because the Porto's his next driver to have his scheduled pit stop. And you can see Mateus Juan Porto fills into the brim for his second stint. That will be his pit window complete. That will be his pit strategies complete. Kaczynski has now had a 10-second buffer over Farah Kamal and Gibbons only a 50-second buffer over Kaczynski. So Gibbons is right now is gonna tank Raja Kaczynski out in the end because Kaczynski is holding up the rest of the field. Sure, he may have to hold himself up at the start, but with him holding up the rest of the field, Kaczynski is actually doing some slight wonders to Gibbo, or allowing him to finish second in this race over Farah Kamal's win.
Yeah, I think at this point, like, might be Nee who's sort of been a little bit of a tricky trainer. Probably not to the extent of Kaczynski, but Kaczynski is sort of maintaining around a second gap to Nee at the moment, and now it's sort of from Nee until Leo that the pack is sort of condensed to.
And right now we're taking a close look into some of the gaps here. Kaczynski is now 10.8 seconds behind Farah Kamal, and Gibbons is only 50 seconds flat over everyone else. Looks like the Gibbons is in a prime position to actually no, he's now dropped down to 49 seconds, just briefly, 49.999. So Gibbons is in a prime position to basically undercut Kaczynski, basically pass him on strategy. So Gibbons will be in second place. So he will just stay there until the end of the race while Farah Kamal also holds on to this win.
Yeah, so looking likely at this point, said Farah Kamal win, Gibbons in second place, and Kaczynski maybe round out the podium, but obviously it's still a decent pack right there, so I think that last step on the podium may be definitely in contention for a lot of drivers here.
Raja Kaczynski now being called into the pits. That's his strategy portion of the race done. He will most likely exit behind Callum Gibbons, so that will be one thing that we will need to pay attention. And speaking of the current seat availability right now, Farah Kamal will most likely stay, but that will make that a lot of things may change, so that may change as well. Santini will most likely have his seat secured. We're not going to send. Lazar Damasha will stay here in the 19 car. Fumai as well. Azat will stay in the 18. Kizarleo in the 40. He will maintain his spot there. Cashew in 7. Suharto in 8th. Rakimbayev 9. Vasiliev 10. Suharto will stay as well. Rakimbayev will stay. Vasiliev will stay. Petrov will stay. Snook will also stay. Kaczynski actually no. Kaczynski has actually managed to exit ahead of Callum Gibbons, and actually that's not going to do Gibbons any favors. Raja Kaczynski is actually, come to think of it, your spicy hot take might just as well come true after all. But look at Callum Gibbons trying to make a move around the inside as he's desperate to try to get past the 74.
Yeah, like Pauley, yes, not that far off at this point. It's just, you know, we thought it was going to be a bit of a help there, but no, it's just come back and say, no, I'm going back to being the trolley train.
Oh no, Kaczynski is going to try to hold up Callum Gibbons right now, but looking at the gap right now, it's only around 0.3 of a second. If Callum Gibbons is going to have a gap of only 0.2 heading exiting screen curve and into 130R, he might just be able to make the pass on Kaczynski, but overall, Kaczynski is not going to do himself any favors relative to the championship contender Callum Gibbons at the moment. And right now, Farah Kamal is probably just going to be laughing to the checkered flag.
Yeah, it's absolutely the best outcome for Farah Kamal. You know, pole position, dominating the race lead, and not really under pressure anyone. And Kaczynski helping out in the process, whatever method of helping that may be, whether that be my spicy hot take or Kaczynski just doing whatever the heck he feels like doing.
And right now we're looking into Azat now making his first of his only stop right now. And looking at some of the few other drivers in the field right now, Farah Kamal is still holding on to his race lead. For Santini second, Domashnev third, Umay fourthly, Ofikan sixth, Rakim Bayev is now up a few positions as well. Vasilia Petrov and Snooks as well. They're forming quite a train here at the moment.
Looking at the timing at the moment, is there potential for me to even sort of overcut Kaczynski and Gibbens at this point, and then holding each other up, trying to battle one another? Could me potentially do an overcut?
And right now we're looking into Kaczynski and Gibbens. Kaczynski still holds on into his position. Gibbens manages to exit ahead of Azad right now. Looks like, based on what you're saying at the moment, the overcut strategy may as well be a strategy of this race so far. And looking at Farah Kamal also holding on to this race right now. Farah Kamal is in an even better position to hold on to her lead.
Yeah, so just absolutely cruising at this point, still under no threat from anyone, over 13 seconds ahead of me at the moment, and Nishnev rounding out the current podium positions, obviously not the next podium at the moment, and obviously many still yet to pit, but for Farah Kamal, probably absolutely laughing this whole time.
Cashew and Damasha will most likely pit at the same time, as Kuma will probably pit a lap later, as does Sergei Petrov. Thomas Nitz will pit at the same time as well, as with Damashnev and Cashew at the moment, so he will be the next drivers to pit, and the last driver who will be pitting right now. Actually, I'm looking at Kizuhara Leo's field right now. Let's see if he can hold on. No, he's going to commit to an extreme overcut strategy, so maybe Kizuhara Leo, a contender for a podium finish.
Yeah, it's definitely in there, so definitely some very strategy from the field in this race. So we have some extreme undercut, some extreme overcut as Domishnev enters the pits now as well.
Domishnev enters the pits, as does, let me check, a few drivers here. Thomas Smith will most likely come into the pits as well. He's not being called in. Kashi will do one more lap of the here in Suzuka. And looking at Thomas Smith, we have confirmation. Look at this, Thomas Smith into the pits.
Into the pits as well, trying to get away from that pack, so get back into clear at the moment. So we sort of have this little pack going on at the moment as well, at the tail end of the points paying positions. As for our leader, continuing to extend that margin, so I believe about 13 seconds now, the margin, while Gibbons is still stuck behind Kaczynski and still lapping in the 203s. Gibbons actually sort of tailored off a bit. Is that coming out?
And actually, no, the Monster actually manages to commit to his overcut strategy very well as well. He manages to actually beat Callum Gibbons. And now Callum Gibbons is going to try to make the move, try to make the same move that Kaczynski has made. So Callum Gibbons has not just had one Lexus car that is currently getting in his way. It's now two Lexus cars.
Okay, I'm going to up the ante on my spicy take. I'm sure Farah Kamal has just now paid off the entire Lexus team to absolutely screw me over.
Oh dear, if this is actually true, then it's gonna be pretty insane at the moment. Farah Kamal will have probably the best platform to hold on into the championship lead, and oh no, the bots are back. Anyways, if you're here in the chat room, the live chat, please report the bots. They're kind of back here at the moment, well at least it's better than what we had the last few months when we didn't film around the subscription page. And looking into the few main drivers who have yet to pit, we have Fakhruddin Farah Kamal and Sergei Petrov who have yet to pit. So looking at the gaps right now, Farah Kamal is going to hold on into this race lead, and will be Kaczynski second, Domashnev third. Will give us only scoring 43 points to Farah Kamal's 100. This will be Farah Kamal's championship to lose.
And through my heading into the pits right now, and Nee also heading into the pits as well. I said Nee was potentially looking at that overcut, potentially bumping us down even further. So let's see where he ends up coming out.
And if it actually does basically exit ahead of Gibbo, then you may want to up the ante of your spicy take even further. It didn't just pay the rest of the Lexus field, it actually paid the entire field at this point, because it's now involving the Nissans and the Hondas.
See, like, my opinions, while spicy, aren't too that far-fetched.
And right now Fumai is getting out onto the track. Here is Kaczynski and Domashnev out on track. Domashnev, here we see that blue Lexus car, and as you can see, the drivers are going to slow down. Here comes even more insanity. Look at this! Fumai has now exited ahead of Callum Gibbons now, so Callum Gibbons has now dropped down to the net 5th place. And let's see if Gibbons can try to make it pass. No, he cannot.
I'm done now. Not like this. Not like this.
Oh dear, this is not gonna be looking very good there for the Gibbens right now. He started second behind Farah Kamal. Started third and is basically been screwed over by Isaac Kaczynski. His own undercut strategy is basically not the strategy that you want to be. So basically, with the guys making the overcuts being the ones that shine, and basically Gibbons falling down by the wayside. Gibbons may just as well be on the outside looking in the championship battle actually.
Yeah, let's see who else. It was Porto who was in third place in the championship. It's in 13th, and Demishnev was 4th in the standings as well. So might be Demishnev with a look, but again was 100. Actually, I think one at the current position won't mathematically be in it. So effectively might still be a two-way fight for the championship, but realistically I might only just be mathematically in.
And Rakhimbayev and Katrin Vasilyev, to my knowledge, they're looking to actually try to tough it out at the end of this race as well. And actually we did mention that the Hondas are going to do the strategy master stroke once again. And actually they're actually going to continue the strategy master stroke, as they're actually managed to continue their dominance here in Suzuka. Looking at the, but except for Farah Kamal is not going to commit any longer to this basically strategy master stroke. For Kizuhara Leo and Rakhimbayev, especially for Kizuhara Leo might just be able to make it out at the end of this race in this strategy. Maybe not for Katrin, but maybe not for yes, Katrin Vasilyev as well. So looking at the gap right now, Rakhimbayev may pit at the end of this race, as does Farah Kamal. So Farah Kamal is currently being called into the pits, so it may not be doom and gloom just yet for the current driver in second in the championship standings.
Yeah, but obviously still had a decent buffer heading into the pit stops as well, so it's still probably going to be a net gain in points, but I think it's sort of safe on the race for Gibbons here, because I believe he said it was 8th was the exact spot that my guy needed to get to stay mathematically in the championship.
And right now, no, sorry, it has to be 8th or lower for him to be out of title contention. And as of it stands right now, Farah Kamal could exit in second place. So yeah, as I mentioned, Gable could still be in it to win the championship.
Yeah, in it, but just really after getting field paid off to absolutely screw me over.
Yeah, but right now, at the moment, Farah Kamal has now peeled into the pits. Kizuhara Leo will look to assume the lead of this race. Kizuhara Leo representing the Violet Mage. Murasaki Shion is looking very handsomely here in the late stages of the race. Finally scores his first podium finish in Fuji. And of course, with his strategy, with him also scoring another podium finish in Suzuka East. Basically, he's carrying the momentum at the end of the season to be a powerhouse at the end of the season to try to challenge for that top 10 spot.
Yeah, so it's definitely been improving later on in the season. It's now in prime position to take a heap of points and get back into that midfield in the championship standings. Obviously not in championship contention, but nevertheless a very good result.
And for Gibbons, he will score 5 points at the moment. Farah Kamal will only score 75 points. The record-breaking 5 wins will have to come later on, as we're about to get into basically taking a look into it. Only 4 laps to go. It's going to be very borderline for Kizuhara Leo and Katrin Vasilyev to get that strategy nailed into. But as far as I know, Rakhimbayev will most likely pit as well. But for Kizuhara Leo and Katrin Vasilyev, we'll have to wait and see. If they don't pit, then the championship battle will go on to the wire in the final race tomorrow. But if they do pit and Farah Kamal holds on to the race lead, and with Gibbons currently in 8th, remember the gap is currently at 11 points. So basically, 8th or better is what Gibbons needs if Farah Kamal wins this race, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, so we'll have to run the calculator after the race, but again, very marginal on field and very marginal in terms of championship contenders here. We've still got a few more laps to go. They're still in the lead, and probably going to have to do a bit of fuel saving lift and coast to try and hold off until the final lap, maybe even run out of fuel right on the line.
And looking at the gaps right now, basically, if we were to do the calculations right now, scoring 5 points would mean that Gibbo only scoring 5 points and Farah Kamal potentially getting the full 100, meaning that it will be 11 plus 95. And no, 8th place, it will not be enough for Callum Gibbons to continue this fight into the final race. And if Gibbons stays in 8th and somehow Farah Kamal gets into the race lead and wins this race, Farah Kamal will be the 2022 Hololive GT3 Japan Series Split B champion.
So does that mean Farah Kamal will pay off Leo to lead through?
Maybe, but it depends on if Kizuhara Leo ends up hitting in this race at the moment. Right now, the field is absolutely marginal. Only 8 laps of fuel in a basically 3.3 liters of fuel per lap. So I would reckon that it will be marginal, but it will be most likely that Kizuhara Leo will win. What a crazy ending this championship battle is going to be.
Yeah, indeed. It may be on the last lap Leo might do a splash and dash. Obviously, doesn't need to worry about tyres, but maybe just put a couple of litres of fuel in the splash and dash NASCAR style. But obviously, very close on the delta if that were to be the case. So Leo may just want to hold out, lift and coast until the end.
And looking at the right now, looking at the field right now, because Vasilia is currently in 3rd place, Farah Kamal 2nd, Kizuhara Leo in the lead. So, looking into the basically 3 laps to go, it's gonna get pretty messy there for a lot of these drivers here. Looking into the fuel window, Kizuhara Leo only has 7 liters of fuel to go, and I think he'll just be good to go if he can be at around 7 liters of fuel come the start-finish line. He might just be able to finish this race with a no-stop strategy, and the fight will carry on until the final race.
And also Rakim have bump in as well now, back in 14th place, and Bruce Gibbons up to 7th place, so back within that safe zone. So I believe, yeah, as I said, 8th or lower would have been out the championship, but it's 7th at the moment as Leo's pitting.
Yeah, Leo's pitting. This would mean that with Leo pitting, we're going to see where Gibbons will end up right now. This could be the lifesaver for Count Gibbons with Rakim Baev and Kizuhara and Leo potentially pitting. The championship battle will most likely continue on into the final race of the season, which is going to be tomorrow. Farah Kamal will look to break the record of the most race wins in Hololive GT3 that was previously held by Muhammad Shazren Reza. Farah Kamal is going to break the record.
Yeah, it's a very dominant performance indeed from lights out to the finish, effectively barring any major mistakes in these last couple of laps, but I very much doubt that he has been absolutely consistent all race long and not really under threat from anyone.
And Rana Damashev has passed Kizuhara Leo, as does Fumai, but crucially not Gibbons as well. But Gibbons has the warmer tires at the moment. Let's see what he can do to basically overtake Leo in this tight and twisty section. But as of right now, with Farah Kamal leading and Gibbons 7, the championship battle will go down to the wire, but this will require Farah Kamal to have an absolutely horrid race for basically Farah Kamal to lose his championship.
Maybe it's my turn to pay off the rest of the field.
Maybe, just maybe. But right now we're looking into basically the final 1.5 laps of this race. And for today, again, we wanted to take a look into Farah Kamal. Again, we want to talk about this track mod, Suzuka. It's basically a ACC converted track mod from Astor Competizione. And basically in Astor Competizione, all of the tracks here are laser scanned, and so basically the reboot team basically brought this track over from Competizione to Astor Corsa, so we can't thank them enough for basically this mod. So kudos to them for providing us with the track needed for us to host the season finale. So it's all good right now. Putting Farah Kamal into 130R, conservative through 130R. Let's see what she can do in the final lap of the race.
And towards the final corner now, ready to start the final lap of the race. Then very much comfortably in the lead, over 12 seconds the margin, with Gibbons in 7th place, and actually is Santini a few temps behind at this point.
Santini looking into yes, we're currently looking into basically overtaking Cal Gibbons down to 8th, and this would mean that right now Cal Gibbons is in that safe spot to hold on into hold on into basically the safe bubble required for him to continue fighting for the championship until a bitter end in the final round. But right now, Santini is definitely hounding Callum Gibbons. If, let's say, Santini manages to pass Callum Gibbons in the final stretch of basically in the back straight and manages to get the pass done, Farah Kamal will be champion.
Yeah, so it's basically all down to this battle here. Farah Kamal's done everything she can. She's done everything she needs to do. Pole and basically a race ring guaranteed at this point. And now it all comes down to this on the final lap where Gibbons can hold off the knee to keep the championship fight on for another race.
And right now for Vasiliev, actually, no, we want to take a look into this. They want to probably take a slight look into Gibbons there, but Vasiliev is currently the only Honda to manage to nail the fuel strategy absolutely spot on. But right now the field is going to be very borderline for her, but I think she'll make it out at the end of this race. And as of right now, we're looking at Farah Kamal, though it's no faults in this race. Perhaps one of the most dominant performances in Hololive GT3, as we're seeing here right now. No one has dominated as much as her in this race. No one has dominated as much as the driver representing the Snow Elf, Yukihana Lamy. Farah Kamal started on pole, making use of the situation that she has at the moment. She's going to be breaking records. The previous record holder for the most race wins in Hololive GT3 is Muhammad Shazren Reza. He has brought Farah Kamal in Hololive GT3 for round 5 of the season, and now Farah Kamal is going to come across the line to win race 5 of her career, the most out of anyone so far. Looking at Santini though, this is another battle we want to look out for. Callum Gibbons manages to defend crucially by the skin of his teeth against basically Catherine Vasiliev finishes second, Raja Kaczynski third, Radashav Damashnev fourth, Fumai fifth, Leo sixth, Callum Gibbons 7th place on the grid, Azad at 9th, Santini 8th, championship the Casio 10th, and this will mean that the championship battle will go down to the wire here. Basically the championship will definitely go down to the wire in the final race tomorrow.
Yeah, just absolute the bare minimum margin for Gibbons there to hold on to that championship. Was looking so good early on, starting in 3rd place, but it just went all downhill from there.
And Snooks finishing 15th in this race. Very decent job for all the drivers involved. So we're going to need to transition over due to some discrepancies. We may want to hang on to at the moment. And yeah, that's pretty much race over for basically split B. We're going to be looking into the results page. Farah Kamal has consolidated his race win 35-26. Very good stuff there from Farah Kamal. Vasiliev 2nd, Kaczynski 3rd, Damashnev 4th, Fumai Fikizuhara, Leo 6th, Callum Gibbons 7th, Santini 8th, Azad 9th, Casio 10th, Wallace Arthur 11th, Matheus Van der Border 12th, Sergei Petter 13th, and Rahimbaya 14th, and Thomas Jones basically rounds out the entire field. And actually we wanted to take a look into the replay just a bit to see if there's anything to come by. But whatever the case is, that remember Callum Gibbons was on 3rd place but has now dropped down to 7th due to some interesting blunders that we have to pay attention to. And we wanted to take a look into basically what's happened here. And oh my goodness, you don't want to believe basically the gap between the championship leader and 2nd place right now. Right now, only 2 drivers are eligible to fight for the championship. Farah Kamal at 724, Callum Gibbons at 625. Only 99 points ahead of Callum Gibbons, so Callum Gibbons is still mathematically in contention. But for him to win the championship, Callum Gibbons is in the must-win scenario, and Farah Kamal must finish 10th or must finish outside the points, must not score basically. So it's basically all to play for Callum Gibbons in the final round, from the final race of the season. And as for Vlasa Damashnev onwards, they are now out of title contention, unfortunately. So there's all to play for in the other positions here. And looking at Kizuhara Leo, he's looking to break into the top 10, but because this is very good run in 3rd place, basically screwing Gibbons over. And that's going to be Basically, the battle for the remaining point position is very feisty. But for the championship battle, it's between Farah Kamal and Gibbens. But looks like Farah Kamal will be the odds-on favorite, and we're about to end the stream. Gibbo, can you provide us with your thoughts on the two races so far?
Just for my own performance, really. Just a bit salty. Just a bit salty. I'm still in it, but just a bit salty.
Yeah, that's all the comments that we need from Gibbo at the moment, and I think that's pretty much it for today's stream. We apologize for the issue that we have had in Split A. We would like to make it up to you in some way later on tonight. But for now, everyone was going to need to take a well-earned break to make sure that they are well prepared for the final race tomorrow to decide the 2022 Hololive GT3 Japan Series title for both splits. We hope you enjoyed the stream as much as we do, despite all of our blunders. I'm Mama Shazren, alongside Ms. Callan Gibbens, and you've been watching the 2022 Hololive GT3 Japan Series.